Hey there, and welcome to this 4K step-by-step explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the world's most complex industries, oil and gas. We're going to unravel this hidden, multidimensional language they use. Specifically, we're unpacking how one single, seemingly simple everyday word completely transforms depending on where you're physically standing in a facility.
So what exactly is a tag? Well, you and I probably think of a price tag on a new shirt, right? Or maybe that playground game we all played as kids. But out on an oil rig? No way. This everyday word takes on some radically different, incredibly high-stakes meanings. It's this chameleon of a word that just morphs to fit the extreme engineering, safety, and operational demands of the environment.
Just to give you an idea, to a process engineer sitting comfortably in a control room, a tag is really just a digital alphanumeric code on a screen to identify a valve. But to a completions engineer out on the rig floor, a tag is a literal, violent, physical impact happening miles and miles underground. It's the exact same word, but we're talking about a completely different universe of application here.
To really make sense of all this, we're going to take a step-by-step disambiguation journey through the facility. We'll kick things off with process engineering and P&E, then look at safety and lockout-tagout, check out taglines for lifting operations, dive into mechanical tagging down hole, explore RFID and digital tracking, and finally wrap up with ISO taxonomy and data.
All right, let's jump right into part one, process engineering and P&ID, the blueprint language. We're starting our journey in the abstract design phase with piping and instrumentation diagrams.
In this specific domain, a tag is basically your ultimate foundational blueprint language. It's this highly standardized alphanumeric code that gets assigned to literally every physical instrument, major piece of equipment, and piping segment you could possibly imagine. And because of super strict international standards, like ISA 5.1 and ISO 10628, this tag acts as a universal nomenclature. It links the physical field hardware straight to centralized control databases, essentially giving operators this perfect, coded roadmap of the entire facility.
And it's pretty brilliant how they do this. The ISA 5.1 standard uses basic shapes to instantly communicate vital info. Like, if you see a tag enclosed in just a simple circle, boom, you immediately know that instrument is physically mounted out in the field. But if that circle has a solid horizontal line running through it, that means it's panel-mounted and easily accessible to an operator. And a hexagon? That tells you the tag isn't even a physical valve at all. It's actually just a computer function living inside the control system. It is such a highly efficient visual language.
Moving right along to part two, safety and lockout-tagout, protecting lives on the deck. Let's actually step out of the control room, get off the blueprints, and walk onto the physical deck to see how tags literally save lives during hazardous maintenance.
This is where we run into the concept of lockout-tagout, or LOTO for short. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the stark difference between the lock itself and the tag. The lockout device, that is a physical restraint, like a heavy padlock on a circuit breaker, that physically stops the release of hazardous energy. The tagout portion, on the other hand, is a critical communication device. It's a high-visibility warning attached right to that lock, explicitly stating who placed it there, when they did it, and why, strictly warning anyone else not to touch or operate that machinery.
Let's picture this in practice for a second. Say a worker needs to de-energize this massive, high-pressure pump. They have to follow some very strict steps. First, they identify the energy sources and shut the machinery down. Then, they isolate it and apply their specific lock and tag to those isolation points. Next, they actually have to verify that it absolutely won't turn on before they perform any maintenance. And here's the kicker, the most important part. The worker keeps the key to that lock in their pocket the entire time. That guarantees the equipment cannot be accidentally energized by someone else while they are literally inside the machine. Once they're done, they just remove the devices.
Okay, on to part three, taglines for lifting operations, taming the swing. While we're still out on the deck, we encounter yet another completely different type of tag. This one shows up when a crane is picking up massive pieces of equipment.
In this context, tag refers to a tagline, which is essentially a heavy-duty rope used to control a suspended load. Imagine a crane lifting tons and tons of steel in high winds. I mean, your body weight is absolutely no match for that kind of momentum if it starts swinging, right? So they deploy a tagline. It lets workers oppose that uncontrolled rotation, alter the angle of the load, and guide it perfectly into position, all while keeping their hands entirely off the hazardous load itself and maintaining a super safe distance.
Physics actually plays a massive role here.
Industry guidelines specifically state that tag lines should be attached as close to the far end of the suspended load as feasible. And you might wonder, why there? Well, attaching it at the absolute extremities gives the rigger the maximum mechanical leverage they need to safely tame that swing and guide the massive weight into place. It's pretty smart.
All right, let's leave the surface entirely for part 4, mechanical tagging downhole, contacting the deep. We are going to dive miles and miles underground into the wellbore, where the definition of tagging becomes violently physical.
Deep downhole tagging isn't some digital identifier on a screen, it's not a piece of warning paper, and it's sure not a rope. It is the highly physical act of hitting something solid with a massive drill string. When a drill bit first hits the rock formation at the absolute bottom of the well or strikes a cement plug, you are tagging it. Operators all the way up on the surface know this contact has happened because they'll see a sudden, sharp drop in the hook load weight on their sensors, which basically means the weight of that miles-long pipe is now resting directly on the obstruction.
To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this, just consider the numbers during well decommissioning. Regulators actually mandate that operators verify the structural integrity of the cement plugs that seal the well. And to do this, they mechanically tag the plug by literally slacking off up to 15,000 pounds of heavy steel pipe weight directly onto the cement. 15,000 pounds. If the plug can hold that massive load without yielding, then the tag is successfully verified.
Moving up from the depths, we hit part 5, RFID and digital tracking, the intelligent pipe. We've seen tags as physical impacts and ropes, but now let's see how tagging is evolving into the digital future of asset tracking.
Believe it or not, historically, finding the right drill pipe meant workers literally had to climb around on these highly slippery, muddy pipe racks with nothing but a tape measure. They'd scribble the specs down on paper and then manually type it all into a computer system later. I mean, you can probably imagine the safety hazards, the massive delays, and the high potential for just simple human error that this caused.
So enter the RFID, or Radio Frequency Identification tag. This is a total game changer. These are ultra-high-frequency smart chips made of high-strength steel and polymers, and they are embedded directly into the metal joint of the drill pipe itself. A massive pilot program over at the Shengli oil field proved that by just scanning these tags with handheld readers, operators could instantly pull up a pipe's unique ID, its usage history, and its maintenance records in real time. It completely eliminates those manual measurement errors and dramatically improves safety out on the rig.
And finally, that brings us to part 6, isotaxonomy and data, the ultimate structure. Let's zoom all the way out to the enterprise level. We have all these disparate physical tags, digital chips, and process codes, right? So how on earth are they organized so that modern algorithms and facility managers can actually understand the health of an entire operation?
Well, they do it through incredibly rigorous data standards. While a broad standard like ISO 55000 provides the general principles for managing assets, the oil and gas industry relies on the much deeper, highly granular ISO 1424 standard. This specific standard ensures that a broken pump tagged out in the North Sea is documented and categorized in the exact same mathematical way as a broken pump tagged all the way over in Texas.
The real magic happens when a physical asset tag is mapped to what's called a flock, or functional location, within this ISO hierarchy. By tying that physical tag directly to a standardized database location, operators ensure clean, uniform data across the board. And honestly, clean data is the absolute non-negotiable foundation you need for training modern machine learning models and predictive maintenance algorithms. It's how they foresee failures before they even happen. So look at what we've covered. We've journeyed from abstract blueprints to physical padlocks, from swinging ropes and deep subterranean impacts, all the way to digital chips and global data taxonomies. We've seen how one simple, everyday word morphs into these multi-dimensional, literal life-or-death concepts across this incredible industry. It brilliantly illustrates the sheer complexity of industrial engineering, and it kind of leaves you wondering, what other hidden languages are out there just waiting to be decoded? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep exploring.